While I'm vlogging this today, I really am hoping to still get some of these other things done. I want to schedule out videos with an editor. Basically a lot of work on my computer today. Let me go get my food, which is probably done cooking. So this morning I have been up since about 6:30, was hanging out with Chris's mom, making coffee, talking about life and everything. But I thought it'd be fun to just share how I grew a business, or how I am growing a business still while having a baby. And this is a very reflective video, I think, because I don't really have a baby anymore. I have a toddler. If you're in the shoes of having a business and then wondering how am I going to baby proof this and really prepare it for stepping into motherhood, I think that hopefully you'll find some value out of this. There's people who have a very established business and employees and everything like that, and then there's people who are maybe still a one-woman show then stepping into motherhood, and I think there's a difference there. Oh, and then there's also a third breed of people who are already moms and then trying to pick things up from the very, very beginning and grow a business. So I hope that you find value out of this. So I'm a wedding videographer, and a lot of this information is gonna tie directly into one-on-one client project work. So my work is very project based. I am the main editor in my business, and I do get some editing help here and there, which I will go into in a minute, but I'm also the administration, person. I do admin, I do social media, I wear all the hats in my business. I don't have an administrative assistant or a social media manager or anything like that, but I will go into some things that have helped me, especially being a solo business owner and having very crazy schedules with and I say crazy just because it's unpredictable. That's the best way I could put it. Things can just be very unpredictable with a little human. First, I want to start with some things that I did that did help my business, and then I'll go into things that I wish I did prior to having my baby. The first thing that I did was that when I found out I was pregnant, I looked at my schedule and I looked at all of the weddings I had around my third trimester. I then looked at my editing cues and things that I knew were going to be needing editing, because with videography, most of the work is on the back end after the wedding has already passed. So the first thing I did was that I started pre-scheduling all of my editing projects. I went with a couple different editing agencies that specialize in wedding films, and I basically reached out to them and I started pre-scheduling. I was like, hey, this wedding is in 8 months. I would like to pre-schedule an editing project for these and these dates, or for this wedding date, and I would just pay a deposit. And I'm really glad I did that, because then once Lana came, we had an entire journey in the NICU, which, like I said, it was unpredictable, and most people just assume that you're out of the hospital and you have your baby home with you and things are just smooth sailing a couple days after. But no, we had to go back and forth to a hospital, and that is priority number one. I'm so glad that I didn't have any editing, any client work on my brain during that time. That being said, Lana came early. She came at 36 weeks, a day shy actually of 37 weeks, which would have been great because that's considered full term. I then was like, how far into my third trimester do I want to continue filming? I basically hired an associate team to stand in for me and film the wedding day for me. And this is of course something that I reached out to my clients and I was like, hey, just found out I was pregnant. How would you feel about this? I still ensured them that I would be overseeing the creative direction though of the entire editing process to ensure that it was up to par with what they would expect from me editing it. And then also I reassured them that these are videographers I have personally worked with, whether we have shot together as a team, so I know their vision and I know what they're looking for, and I've basically vetted them and I feel confident that you'd be in good hands. So that was really a help, because actually the night before she was delivered, the night before she was born, there was an associate team that I scheduled out to go film that wedding, and I had actually started contractions that night. The last thing that I really loved putting into place before was automating my CRM. So I automated my CRM with inquiries. So anytime that someone sent me an inquiry contact form, I just had it automated to respond to them and say that like I was on maternity leave, but I still served them the information that they wanted. And then I would kind of pick back up the in-person work from when they would schedule a consultation call. I have another video that I will share here about how I automated my inquiry process. And actually, when I was in the hospital, in the NICU after my emergency C-section, you know, tending to my daughter, I booked a client. It just was like really reassuring that like I had put systems into place that basically allowed me to be able to book a wedding like through my CRM and through automations while I was in the hospital. That to me spoke volumes for sure. So one thing that I am doing now that I wish I did prior to having my daughter was create diversified income streams. So I wish that I actually like split my time away from one-on-one client work and focused and built up passive income streams. So whether this would have been through digital products, which is what I'm doing now, like I have my Notion templates and I have my Final Cut Pro templates and I have like a lot of software templates now that I've developed and put out there. My goal is still to really refine my digital shop though. But I wish I did all of this before having my daughter, because like to know that I'm still generating income to support my life as a new mom when I can't be there in person, especially with like in person as a wedding videographer, you know, in person, just like kind of doing sales and like trying to sell myself in terms of like being hired as a wedding videographer. I wish that I just like embraced content creation and digital asset creation, just like passive income a lot more. Additionally, as a content creator for my business, or also just for YouTube or whatnot, like this platform, I wish that before my daughter came, I batched content. I wish I batched and then like outsourced all of the editing too, like for YouTube or whatnot. And I probably would have done like 3 months worth of it just to be able to keep up on it. And I would have even batched the editing, not only of the content, but then also being able to like splice it down and then like distribute the content. So I would have, yeah, the whole post-production process I would have outsourced too. I wish I did that because I felt like I was suddenly like, I just fell off the radar. And I think that affected my bookings honestly for 2023. I had my daughter in the height of the summer season where a lot of people are reaching out to their vendors and they're trying to like book their vendors for 2023 for a year out. And I felt like I just completely missed that season, that booking season, because I just wasn't present on any sort of platform to be found. That being said, in terms of marketing and everything, I wish I set up marketing ads or embraced some of those like mainstream tactics too. I'm not on like the Knot or anything like that, but yeah, I wish I just kind of like, for whatever business you're in, just look at your marketing strategy in terms of like running ads, your content, and how can you batch that prior to having your child, because you just never know if there's going to be complications where you truly cannot even be home at your computer to touch base on. Like I had 0 touch points for weeks. I don't even think I opened my laptop for months. And I like had my phone obviously, but I only did things here and there. Okay, I gotta get Lana ready for daycare and then we'll touch base with this again after I get her to school. So the biggest tip that I want to now talk about moving into the process of now baby is here and you are trying to figure out how to grow your business still, or how to continue running your business at the same capacity that you were used to. The biggest thing that you can embrace is the hierarchy of prioritization. This is basically using the Eisenhower grid, Eisenhower square, Eisenhower method, where you've got something you need to do now, something you need to schedule, something you need to delegate, and what you just need to delete. So do, schedule, delegate, delete. usually the things you got to do now, those are urgent and, you know, those take priority and you need to do them. A lot of times, there are things that I can, when I actually look at it and analyze it, I'm like, you know what, I can actually delegate this. So I will just delegate that out. And a big one for me, for my business particularly, was editing. I edited some videos, but then things for like YouTube, I, you know, scheduled a couple of those out for someone else to edit them. And then also too, like just working with an editor, that did take time. And I was kind of like, all right, we need to like groom the message here. We need to groom the feeling and the energy and the vibe of it. So that was taking some time, but it was still less time than it would have taken for me to actually edit it. So yeah, just figuring out what your hierarchy is of what you need to do yourself and what you can schedule out for another time. And then of course, what you can have someone else do immediately now, and then what just doesn't even need to be a thing to worry about. Okay, I had to switch over to my camera because my iPhone is running out of storage, honestly. So to continue on to this productivity sector of running a business with a baby, I want to shed light just in general too, before I move into my next point, is that prioritizing over productivity is the mindset to have. There's ever been really like one day yet that I was like, I was so productive, you know, like I don't think that there's really been that yet. I still celebrate the things I have been able to get done. That being said, it's because babies, when they're newborns, there's so many possibilities for things, for the unexpected. Things that are more long-term and more serious, like Lana being in the NICU, that's more long-term and serious. We also had breastfeeding issues. I didn't expect to be going to craniosacral specialists and seeing multiple lactation consultants. Like when I would get a moment to sit down, what would normally have been, you know, to work on my business, I was seeing lactation specialists instead, while she was like on her nap, or when I was just like having a moment to sit down at the computer and just arrange a Zoom call. Those are moments that I was like, wow, I could be working on my business, and I planned to work on my business then, but it's not going to happen because other things are more important, like figuring out how to feed my child. I think these are all kind of like special circumstances, but it's very real, and I've had a lot of fellow mom friends who aren't running a business still be stressed out about it. You have to also consider postpartum depression, which I feel like I had some level of that for sure, and figuring out how to manage the breakdowns because they happen. I don't want this to sound scary or overwhelming, because you figure it out, and hopefully you have a supportive partner, some support system, because the support system isn't for the baby really all the time, it's for you. You need someone to be emotionally available for you. And yeah, this is like this, I could go on a whole tangent about this. Going back to what I was saying, prioritizing over productivity, your mindset's not there sometimes, and the productivity, your productivity just becomes like longer lead times to everything. That being said, being mindful of deadlines. Looking back, I would say you want to cushion your deadlines. I would say at like double the amount of time that a project's gonna take. It really sucks to think about that, but you're just like, okay, this project's gonna take longer. All right, so then how much work can I take on? To the same point, I have another video about this topic, and I actually learned it from another YouTuber called But First Coffee, or Kaylee Bransifort, I believe her last name is. And she basically has, like, I just purchased the Top 3 Planner by Erin on Demand, and so far I'm liking it. I'm still like resisting the structure and like feeling like I'm wasting pages, because some days I'm like not following the top 3 all the time. But it's a new thing. I'm just exercising. And basically I would just take a notebook and do Katie Bransford's method based on your daily rhythm. Like every morning kids kind of have a routine, or like maybe you have a routine in the morning before your child wakes up. I would say in this newborn phase, there is really no defining rhythm between day and night. My child, at least, she was a good napper, but we were up all night, like every few hours, and it was very exhausting. On that note, I'm gonna make a whole other video about this. It's been literally on my queue for a while, but it is cycle syncing. I started cycle syncing my business, my life, and everything. If you don't know what cycle syncing is, it's basically the process of like defining your work and your schedule around your monthly cycle, your menstrual cycle. Follicular phase, then you've got ovulation, then you have luteal phase, which is the longest, and then you've got menstruation. Those are the four, I don't know why I'm holding it this way. Those are the 4 stages of our menstrual cycle. I find that like during ovulation, I have the highest energy. So that's when I'll like work a lot more dancing, or I will be, I'm willing to pick up more work there. Or if I'm going to like conceptualize content, I'm going to do that in my follicular phase. Or if I'm going to wrap things up and like editing, I am going to do that in my luteal phase. Or menstruation, I'm just like, they call it the winter, you know, I'm just like in hibernation. And ovulation, like I'm just getting out of my ovulation now, so I'm like, I have more energy. I feel like I can even speak more clearly and faster, and I am just more energized during my ovulation cycle, or part of my cycle. Take into account cycle syncing, that might be something for you to try. And then also, of course, figuring out your daily rhythm, especially because that's going to change when you have a baby, and just coupling that along with prioritizing if there's just one thing today that you need to get done. It's like giving yourself grace that you don't need to get as much done, but to not worry because it will get all done. This is just the short-term squeeze. On another note, the moving process is moving along. We are currently under contract for a house. Hello from editing this video. We are in the new house. This is my current editing corner, office corner. We're working on the ceilings, and yeah, we did wind up closing on the house, and it's been a while, honestly, since I filmed this video, and that I'm finally getting a chance to wrap this up, because we have just been deep in all of the home projects, any free time we get between work. So yeah, it is now gonna just be a full-blown summer of home projects. So pop over to my Instagram probably if you want to like follow the tidbits that I share of this. But yeah, we did get the home and we are in it now, so thought I would just add this. This is a perfect segue into the fact that I'm doing my makeup. The next thing that I wanted to mention is self-care. I told Chris, I was like, if one more person tells me that I need to make time to take care of myself, I'm gonna go crazy. I was endlessly thinking about a moment to take care of myself. Like the father or another caretaker, if you really want to respect the time that that mom needs, you have to sit through the mama. Like you have to get through that and show them that someone else can provide for them emotionally and physically and whatnot, like can provide for them for a short period of time, for like 30 minutes. Otherwise, if you just always fulfill their urge to want to go back to mom, you're not helping them and you're not helping mom. Obviously, if they're hungry and they need to be breastfed, that's a different story. But most of the time, it is just a nurturing presence that they want. All that to say, the big things that I would try to schedule in if I were to go back would be finding chances to reward yourself in ways that make you feel good. Like my self-care in the beginning was, I really love this bubble tea and smoothie Chinese place that is like right down the street from us. That was like my weekly splurge that I always looked forward to. Some physical things I looked forward to. I never was really one to go get my nails done, but like I would go get my nails done. Don't always get them done, but when I'm telling myself like, oh, I want to have like a treat, I go and get them done. Very natural, because for dancing I have to have very natural nails. I just would plan these in advance because you don't have as much spontaneity. So I would just like make these plans. I would reach out, make appointments. I just was like, hair appointment, nail appointment. I wish I was better about like making kind of appointments even with friends, to be like, hey, let's go out for lunch or something. I filmed a Disney wedding with another videographer when I was 7 weeks postpartum, because I would say around that point I was like ready to get out of the house. But then as soon as I was away from Lana, then I was like, oh, I just want to go. Like I was in such a fog. Like I just wanted to go back home to her, and it was such a weird feeling. So I will say it's like you still need that time away for sure. Even alarms on your phone reminding you to drink water and take a deep breath like I found myself so many times just like holding my breath, and I was like, why am I doing that? I also, during this postpartum period, I knew I needed to pick that momentum back up in my business. And so I started to embrace Notion a lot more, and I started to just get a lot better with digital planning, paper planning. Like I just was doing anything I could. And what I have found to work really good is that anything that's like my brainstorming or like my database for all the ideas I have, that's in Notion. And then I put things into my calendar once a month. I'll actually link another video over here that is basically like how I did my monthly planning back, and it's like mompreneur monthly planning or something like that. And then I also have it queued up to do a video that is all about how I plan my week and organize my week using Google Calendar and Notion and a paper planner. I have another video that's like what I plan digitally versus what I plan on paper, and that is something that's just like really helpful too, to define like what I need to have in front of me so that I'm not distracted by like going on my phone. I hope this was really helpful. I hope I touched a little bit on, you know, what I did that I was really thankful of doing before my baby came, what I wish I did before my baby arrived, and then of course now baby is here, and what you can do in terms of productivity and self-care to be able to get it all done. So I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next video, but for now, take care and good luck.